Going to call to order the Planning Commission meeting on September 15th at 6:30. First up is approval of minutes.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All right, any changes that you see? All right, all in favor of approving, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Public appearances for non-agenda items, I'm not aware of anyone, so we can go past that. Agenda review, I don't think we need to change anything for that, so we can just jump right into it. And first, we've got a public hearing and consideration of conditional use permit. And let's start with, I think I saw Amanda is online, unless it's Dan under Amanda's name. If you want
It's
to.
Amanda.
All right, hi Amanda. Do you want to tell us what you want to do here, what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had the pleasure of operating in an outdoor tent in our parking lot near our catering facility, and we're with positive feedback from the community and with some additional reserves that we found for ourselves to kind of push forward and try to sustain through the winter. We'd like to bring that outdoor dining experience indoors and include a retail space as well to sell some products. So we have a suite that had been used for storage only and are currently working through some plans to build that out and offers them indoor dining, a small amount of indoor dining for the community, and take our barbecue concept to that next stage. And we'll also have a small retail space as well, and are looking today to see what questions you all might have and go from there to work together to build a new space for Fitchburg.
All right. Sonia, do you want to do a staff report?
Yes, so this is pretty straightforward conditional use permit review. This is the heritage catering business, and dining uses require a conditional use permit in the business general zoning district. So currently the indoor space is just the catering business. And as Amanda described, they're looking to add the permanent indoor dining as well as some limited patio seating right adjacent to the building. So the staff recommendation is for approval. And there are 3 conditions listed in the staff report. The first is the standard condition. The second condition really serves more as a finding of fact, just sort of establishing the capacity that we're approving with the conditional use permit. So that would authorize approximately 48 people for the indoor dining area, as well as approximately 12 people in the outdoor patio adjacent to the building. And then finally, this does also have a condition regarding the temporary outdoor dining that we previously approved in response to COVID, just updating the deadline for removal of that tent structure and seating. The Common Council did pass an extension to November 30th, so this just reflects that as well in terms of formal conditional use permit approval from the Plan Commission.
All right, then I will officially open the public hearing. I do not have anyone from the public that wants to speak, though, so I will close the public hearing and open up to comments or questions from members of the Planning Commission. Anyone have any concerns? I'm excited to see that it's been going well and they want to expand what they have and can do for the city, so that's great.
Yep. I'll move approval of conditional use 2366-20 with the 3 conditions as noted.
All right, seconded by Lane. All right, all in favor say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
All right, next is ADR 2900 for Sub-Zero Parkway, and I think I saw Jody online and Clint. I'm not sure who wants to tell us what's going on here, but go ahead and get started. If Jody, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. You're still on mute.
Sorry.
All right, now we can hear you.
Matt Yent still on the line? I believe he was going to speak from Strand and some of more of the details, but I can talk high level on this.
He is.
Matt.
Do you want Matt to go first, Jody?
Either way, basically we're looking to extend the parking lot south of our innovation center for additional parking. We feel we're going to move staff into this facility sooner than originally anticipated, so we'd like to complete the parking now versus disrupt things as we're moving into the facility at a later date. And with this, we also made some changes to our landscaping, which is on this plan, and looking to add some security gates in the future. We don't have the design of those right now, but we have the locations identified on this plan.
All right. And Matt, did you want to add anything?
I would just like to add that the stormwater improvements for this parking lot addition have already been accounted for in the detention basin that's along the west side of the pond. We will, however, update both the erosion control permit for the city and the county basically upon your approval of this plan, hopefully this evening. This was all part of the original ADR submittal. It was just simply shown as a future addition. And, you know, I think it just happened a little faster than maybe people originally thought. So we're just trying to go ahead and get this next 76 stalls included.
All right. Sonia, do you want to do a staff report?
Sure, so this is the architectural design review approval for the site development to add 76 parking stalls. Those are shown on the screen. It's down here on the south end of the site, currently under construction along Sub-Zero Parkway. They're adding the 76 stalls to accommodate an increase in employees that maybe happened a little bit sooner than anticipated. The original ADR approval for the site was in 2019. And as mentioned, some future expansion of parking was anticipated. It just requires this formal step for approval now. So no concerns have been identified by staff, and the recommendation is for approval with 3 conditions. The first is our standard condition that no other permit or approval is granted or deemed satisfied except for the one provided herein. Number 2 just covers us on that erosion control and stormwater management permit that was mentioned. We want to make sure that we have whatever is updated on file as required by our stormwater staff. And then finally was mentioned also the gate detail. Sub-Zero is proposing a gate both at the east entrance to the site along Seminole Highway, and they noted that those would be decorative in that area, and then also a gate at the west entrance along Sub-Zero Parkway, and that those would be electric gates. It's also noted that these would be open during regular business hours and closed after hours for security purposes. So condition number 3 requires that detail of those designs for both gates be submitted to the city planner prior to issuance of permits. And if the plan commission wanted to discuss that further or provide any other guidance to staff in terms of approving that administratively, now would be a good time. Otherwise, we would be following the guidance as sort of proposed right now, which is a decorative gate on the east entrance as well as the metal gate on the west entrance.
All right. Questions, comments from the Planning Commission?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I see the 76 parking stalls. Do you, and none of them are handicapped accessible. Do you have enough covered elsewhere?
This is Matt Jens. Yes, we do. If on the left-hand side, you can barely see it on the screen that I'm looking at. You can see the total number of the total number of stalls, the total number of docks, the total number of ADA accessible stalls, et cetera, van accessible stalls. So we have the correct number for the full build out. And those were all placed up closer to the building originally. So in essence, we had more than necessary for the original build, but under the full build out, we have the correct number.
I guess I just had a question about the gates. I know that there is a new business right in that area that maybe, especially once COVID is over, hopefully they'll be nice and successful and need lots of parking. And is the idea just, or the concern that because people are going to be at a brewery, you don't necessarily want them driving around close to your building? Is it more, I think you're doing a lot of R&D, so is it to kind of keep people away from that building as much as possible for trade secrets? Just curious on why you're getting that off, because I don't know that I can think of any other businesses that are doing that. Well, I guess there's some, but can you speak to that a little bit?
This is Clayton Collins. I'm the facilities manager. So it's a little twofold. You know, I'll put a little bit of the recent activities that we've seen in that area with the bike path, we do get vehicles that are come through our other campus area. In addition to this being an innovation center and a nicer building, we are trying to keep a little bit of the random traffic from coming through. The gates that we would be putting up, especially on the east side, would be very decorative to match the contour of the building that we're putting up. And then on the south side would be more for after hours access, trucks that need to come in after hours as well as employees. So it's a little bit just sort of the sign of the times that we've seen around there with the bike path and people parking in our parking lots to then use the bike path and other joy riding through some of the parking lots.
Oh, I see. So worried that people park there, jump on the bike path, and they're taking up your parking when they have nothing to do with the area right now.
Yeah, we're seeing that a little bit on our main campus, just on the other side of the bike path, where we see bikes parking in there. We see people that want to go look at the birds that are across the retention pond, you know, whatever that might be. So it's really from a part of that's more of a liability standpoint that you know, if something were to happen with them on our property, that causes an issue for us, obviously.
Other questions or comments? Seeing a lot of nodding no's. We can go. Oh, go ahead, Rich. Yeah.
I was impressed with your light fixtures. There's a zero uplight. So are they dark sky compliant? Is that something you were shooting for?
So this is Matt Jens. I'm actually not our electrical engineer, so I can't answer that question. We can get back to you on that.
No, that's all right. They looked, what I saw in the specs indicated that they were. I'm not an electrical engineer either. That's all chicken bones and voodoo.
All right.
Make a motion to approve ADR 2900 Sub-Zero Parkway with 3 conditions as stated by staff.
Seconded by Tom. All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, next one is the public hearing consideration of ordinance 2020-022. Sonia, are you taking this one? All right.
This is a proposed ordinance amendment regarding signage in our smart code zoned areas. This was developed in response to developer input and a request in the Nine Springs area. The developer there has noted that wayfinding has been difficult for some of their buildings. So this proposed ordinance change would expand the types of allowable signage to include 3 types, whereas previous code only allowed 2 out of the 3 different types of signs in different combinations. So this would expand that to allow all 3. One would be a main building identifier, so the name of the building. A second would be an address sign as an architectural feature. So you can see that on some of the buildings where the numbers are a little bit larger and serve as more of an architectural feature on the building. And then finally, it would allow for an awning sign above the main entrance to the building, and that could either be the address sign or a building identifier name. So staff has identified no concerns. It was anticipated that future amendments to the smart code signage would be made, and I think there would be, in addition, future tweaking in the future. I also have an example here of one of the future buildings in Nine Springs, the Osprey, and that shows just an example of what 3 of these signs would look like. In staff's opinion, it is of appropriate scale and appropriate areas on the building. So here we'd have the main building identifier Osprey sign. That is one of the 3 that would be allowed. We would have the address sign as an architectural feature shown in the vertical numbers here. And then finally, that awning sign above the door. And this again could be the address number or a building identifier sign. So again, no concerns by staff. We think this would improve wayfinding as well and would be of appropriate scale and total signage on the buildings.
All right. First, I will open the public hearing. Hello, Mr. Zimmerman. Are you here to speak on the public hearing? Oh, all right. I don't see anyone else then. So we'll close the public hearing and open up to questions or comments from plan commissioners. Don't see a whole lot of concerns. So
What I saw up there looked appropriate. How did we get here? What was the one that brought this to our attention?
I think it sounds like it's Avante just asking for a better way for people to recognize which building they live in and what,
Gotcha.
And really people who are visiting probably even more so than people who live there to find the building that they're supposed to go to.
I'm good
One
with-
question,
Yeah, Zach, go ahead.
is there still an overall size limit then between the three signs?
There are limits for each of the signs, yes. Those are for the main building identifier, 3 feet tall by any length. For the address sign, the letters can be a maximum of 2 feet, and then the scale is relative to the building. So for the most part, we see those vertical address signs being about 1/3 of the vertical height of the building. And then finally, the awning sign would be 3 feet tall by 10 max.
Yeah, okay, so basically they could just max out all three of them if they wanted to, there's no other one, okay.
Correct.
Anyone else? Ed?
Yeah, Sonia, is this in any way different than what would be allowed outside of smart code zoning?
I don't find it particularly different. In our chapter 26 sign code, it allows 150 square feet max per business. So that can be accomplished through a variety of combinations as well. So this is just a little bit more specific in terms of the architectural detail and the placement. I think trying to get at that smart code design a little bit more specifically than our general chapter 26 signage.
Okay, my only concern was whether our general signage requirements were more restrictive than this. If we're looking at this as something that's acceptable in smart code, I think we would probably find it acceptable elsewhere as well. But if this is all already allowed elsewhere, then I have no issue.
I would agree with that, Ed. Yep.
Steven?
So then, is there any square footage maximum on these for smart code?
Not written in the same way that it is in chapter 26, but they must comply with those notes outlined for size. So 30 square feet max on the awning sign, and then the others are a little bit less defined, but require the 3 foot max height or 2 foot max letter height, respectively. So that limits the overall square footage.
Anything else? All right, someone do a motion?
I move to approve ordinance 2020-0-22.
I'll second.
Seconded by Rich. All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that is approved. Man, we're the hardest on you than of all these. Sorry, Sonia. All right, going to resolution R-15820 and a resolution renaming portions of Pike Drive. Sonia, are you also taking this, or is that why you're here, Mike? No. The email, I'll try and find it. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to pull it out, sorry. I'll find it, unless you have it handy. All right, Sonia, do you want to go ahead and start us off?
This is a resolution that would approve an affidavit of correction. The council would be required to approve this as well. An affidavit of correction can be used to change a street name. The proposed name change is for a portion of a road that is currently unimproved but platted. So this is the planned extension of Pike Drive across Fish Hatchery Road. Right now, Pike is just located on the the west side of Fish Hatchery Road. So on this staff memo, I'll zoom in, and it just shows the area where the future west extension, east extension is planned on Bowman property, and it shows the name as Pike Drive. So that's technically what the affidavit of correction would change. And this request came to us from the property owner, Andy Bowman, to change the name to Ocala Drive, and he provided some history and justification for the name change. A little bit of that was copied into the staff memo. The Ocala family previously lived at 2901 Fish Hatchery. Both Charles and Regina, his wife, worked at the Bowman Dairy for decades. The Ocalas raised their 2 daughters at the house, and one of the daughters worked at the dairy beginning her sophomore year of high school and met her future husband at the dairy. Overall, the property owner felt that this request would pay homage to the Ocala family's heritage. This is also similar to the request that we discussed a few months ago to change the eastern extension of Traceway, where we changed that to Bowman Drive. And there the idea was, again, that this could serve as a little bit of a rebranding effort to some of the street names in that area and signal like a change in direction in the future of the Fish Hatchery Road corridor, especially with the reconstruction and a lot of the redevelopment that's occurring there. In terms of the technical review standards from Planning and Public Works, staff has identified no concerns and is comfortable with the change. So right now, the only area that's platted is on this eastern side. So this would only affect that platted area, but in the future, there would be an expansion on the west side. So we would anticipate that the street name be carried across so that we only have 2 names at the intersection along that busy corridor. So it'd be a Ocala on both sides. I also have one example of a possible layout where that western extension would meet up with the existing Pike Drive, so I'll bring that up now. So again, here along Fish Hatch, the intersection would just have 2 names, and then going up the hill at Pike, we would possibly have a situation where there are 3 intersection names, 3 names at the intersection. That's the max allowed per our land division ordinance. But seems to make sense here because they all sort of change directions at that intersection. Or our public works director mentioned that there could be a mini roundabout. The design here is not done, but it would not be unlike the roundabout at Lacey and Haight Farm Road, where New Lacey goes north to the Highway 14 interchange, and name changes happen. I think there are 3 different names at that roundabout. So overall, staff would be comfortable with this request and recommends approval of the resolution.
And I believe that one of the things that staff likes, and we've talked a little bit about here, is on Fish Hatchery Road, which is the main thoroughfare, the road is the same on both sides. So I know staff like that, and I think we previously talked about that as well. I couldn't find the email, but Sonia kind of summarized the email from Andy Bowman and just talked about, tried to honor some of the history on there, kind of like we do with Bowman Drive, which I think is great. Other comments, thoughts, questions, anything like that? Stephen?
So reading the resolution, I don't see it actually call out going west of Fish Hatch, right? So we would only, right now, it looks like we would only be voting on the rename to the east of Fish Hatchery?
That's correct, because that's the only portion that's actually platted as of today. What's shown on the screen now is just a future anticipated platting of the road, but that right-of-way would need to be acquired from those property owners.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's really dependent on if the church wants to do some kind of redevelopment or change. I mean, it'd be great to have that connection, but there's nothing imminent.
I just wanted to make sure we were clear on what we were voting on, if it was stopping at Fish Hatchery, stopping at that intersection, or any other further point down on Pike, so, okay.
Other questions? Or a motion would be great.
I move to approve resolution R158-20.
Second.
Seconded by Ed. All in favor, say aye.
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 And opposed, nay. All right, that's approved. Sonia, do you have a staff report?
I have nothing to report. The next meeting is October 20th.
All right. I just have one announcement that I think people on this planning commission would find interesting. I believe it was last week, they officially listed for sale the radio station property kitty corner from where we are right now. And that's so the radio station is looking to move probably out of Fitchburg, and there would move actually not only the building but the towers. And so they're looking to sell that to someone else to develop. So I know that there's already been at least a little bit of interest. I'll look to see something in the next year or 2, I think, on that corner, but just something that I wanted this group to be aware of. And I think it's, that rail station in the middle of the city isn't ideal. So I think there's good there, even though we don't want to lose those businesses. losing the towers in the middle of a neighborhood is nice. So just wanted to let people know that. Other than that, that's all I've got. And if someone wants to do a motion to adjourn, we can do that. Or if you want to hang out for a while, we can do that too. Move to adjourn by Rich, seconded by Elaine. All in favor, say aye.
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 And nays? All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.